Hello everyone and welcome to tonight's webinar. I'm Dr. Melissa Grill-Petersen and I'm excited to be with you tonight. I want to take a moment and thank Medica for hosting this for us. I do want to make sure you take a moment to read their disclaimer as I am here simply as an educator, not on behalf of Medica, but really on behalf of myself, Functional Medicine Agency, and Functional Blood Chemistry Softwares to help tonight to teach you about how you can implement functional blood chemistry analysis into your practice for increased revenue and results. Again, I am Dr. Melissa Grill-Petersen, found Functional Medicine Agency and an editor in the integrative health and wellness space. Happy to be here tonight with the Medica family so that we can really bring you some pretty fantastic tools that you can implement into your practice right away. So gang, I always like to kind of preface the seminar and make sure you're in the right place so that you really feel like this is worth your time, so you kind of know what to expect. Okay, so if you are an integrative, holistic, functional medicine or doctor of chiropractic, a naturopath, and acupuncturist, if you're a nurse practitioner or wellness health coach, you're a professional in this kind of what I'd like to say alternative natural space. Woo, that's a lot of us, right? That's a big umbrella. If that's you, if you fall into that, then keep watching this webinar, because if you're currently using functional blood chemistry analysis, or if you're wanting a better understanding of how you can use functional blood chemistry analysis, then tonight on this webinar, we're going to show you what you can do with it to actually maximize your profits and improve patient outcomes so that you, your practice, and the patients you serve can thrive. If that sounds good, then you're in the right place. Stay tuned in. And here's what we're going to cover specifically. I am going to forewarn you, there is a lot of content tonight, and what you're going to gain over the next hour is something that I usually like to teach over a several hour or even a day type of seminar. A lot, and some of it might seem overwhelming or might not fully make sense, so I'm going to tell you you're going to want to revisit this webinar on the replay. We're going to make the notes available to you because discuss the perfect balance of both the clinical side of functional blood chemistry, and I'm going to let you know some of the business implications. And as you really wrap your head around it, I think it'll start to make sense. So we're going to cover the functional blood chemistry, who, what, when, where, and why. What is it? What are the patterns? How can it impact your patient care and your practice? We're going to show you how it can save you time, help you to make money, and help you to leave this webinar with a much clearer understanding of what it really all means. I'm going to also reveal to you some clinical pearls, and I'm going to help to give you some, actually it's just business pearls, because I'm going to help you to understand some of the biggest mistake that doctors who are currently using functional blood chemistry are actually making in their practice, and as a result, it prospects and their potential patients into overwhelm and really causing them to not fully be compliant and not fully follow through. And I want to help you to understand how you can ensure you're not making the same mistake. Finally, I'm going to show you, as we get towards the end of this, how you can actually use functional blood chem to build more comprehensive plan of cares and programs that will actually keep patients engaged, compliant, and coming back. Now, if that sounds good, then again, keep watching. In case you don't know me, I am Dr. Melissa Petersen. I've been in this integrative space for over 20 years as both a doctor, a clinician, a coach, a mentor, and an educator. I've worked in my own practice. I've worked as a consultant with different types of practices. And as a result, we've opened up Functional Medicine Agency several years ago because we've had so many clinicians continuously come to us and say, okay, I'm a clinical part, but really trying to figure out the marketing or some of the business systems. So over at Functional Medicine Agency, we've got a team of people that have been and still are clinical practice. So we're not just some coaching group that doesn't get it. We're not just some marketing group that doesn't get it, because I've been there and I still am. And in fact, where I see patients is an institute. So my doctorate's in chiropractic. I am board certified in alternative medicine. I specialize in functional medicine, and over the years, seeing the highs, the lows, the success, the failure, really, and again, other people seeking me out, that's what led me into more of this educational and mentoring role. But I am on a mission. I went through my own struggles. I figured it out. And I invested a lot of time, money, and effort, and I don't want to see you struggle because I know how frustrating it is. And what I'm going to tell you in this moment, I'm sure you know it, but I'm here just to reaffirm it, that you are so incredibly valuable. And your patients, your communities, they need you. And so if I, on any level, can help to give you some insight and some support that'll make your job a little bit easier to keep you more energized, happier, and healthier yourself, well, then you're going to be able to deliver even a greater impact than you already currently are in your own practice and community. So that's my mission, and I'm here to help. And so I hope that tonight you'll find this all incredibly helpful. That's the intention I'm putting out there for us. Because I don't know if you can relate, but when I first started out, bright-eyed and bushy-brained, I really thought that, I just had this overwhelming desire to go out there and be that rock star and help change the world and help get healthy and live well. Well, I didn't realize that just because I wanted it for them, they didn't want it for them. I thought I was just going to put my feet on the ground, build it, they will come just one foot in front of the other, and success is yours because I am all about driving and creating massive results. Well, even though I'm a driver, I still had a very tumultuous journey in the first half of my career, ups and downs and obstacles. I just wasn't fully prepared to want it more than my patients wanted it. And it was a really interesting learning curve. Now, I don't know if you've gone through this, if you can relate, but as I got through it, as I got so frustrated myself, I went out to really find the answers and understand the system so I could enjoy it and, not only create greater patient outcomes, but really have a practice that I loved and create the life and the lifestyle that I loved. Well, along that way, I realized some things. First, I realized that I was having some issues and a lot of other people around me were having some issues. And there's 4 key areas that us in practice struggle in. There's the marketing, the sales, the clinical, and what I call automation is more of our customer or client care. So it's how we get them. How do we close them? Usually we are each very strong in 1 or 2 areas, and then there's some other areas that are lacking, and I call these our holes in our bucket. And we're going to talk more about this, and we'll talk a lot about it at the Practice Accelerator seminar series we're launching starting in July in conjunction with Medica. We'll tell you more about that in a little bit, identifying into these 4 key areas. Today, we're going to really talk more in the clinical side, but as we realize there's struggles, and we each have holes in our bucket to a certain extent, I started to say, okay, well, what if that path to success, it's not just a straight line because life has every day is unexpected. You never know what's going to happen. Even with tensions, life can surprise you, and typically in the best of ways, right? So if we can't just have a straight trajectory, and we also realize the sharp, steep, crash and burn, twists and turns, curves and valleys, is there a way to make it a bit more joyful, pleasurable? I'd like to think of it like, riding with the top down, going up the coast of California. So there's just gentle curves, and it's still really scenic. And yeah, there might be some traffic, but everything around you is just so beautiful and inviting that you're like, this is an awesome journey. And I started to think, what if we create that same type of path in our practice? Well, here's the good news. You actually can, okay? Tonight, I'm going to help you to understand how by having the right tools and systems in place, you can actually have that really joyful path to achieving what you want. I am going to tell you that there really is a flow to this process. So there's the marketing, there's the sales, there's the clinical care, that automation, again, if you will, that customer service care. And within this, stay with me because this is super important. I want to come back here for a minute. We want to have a joyful journey. We want to have the right tools and systems. And at the Practice Accelerator seminar, we really help you to understand, get clear on your vision, and then essentially reverse engineer. And when we reverse engineer, we understand to move through these phases because this is the phase. These are the systems that we must implement to make sure minimize the holes in our bucket. And then sensing functional blood chemistry becomes so cool. Then to improve your flow system, your purpose. And the system, think it's like when you in an examination. It's a process. It is a process process by which, if you move people through it, you're going to get a certain type of result. So I want you to think about the types of result that you want in your practice. And now I want to help you to look through the filter of how functional blood chemistry can become the tool to actually move people forward, patients forward in your system to get the result that you want them to get, which is improved health, right? So the really nice thing that I love personally about functional blood chemistry is it completely levels the playing field. Now, I don't know if you've ever had this experience. I've had it on more than one occasion in my practice where a patient comes in and says, hey, you know, my doctor says my blood works normal every day. And we say, okay, well, you know, let's look at this, let's look at this. Any type of test other than blood, if you ever bring it up, they're like, well, I'm going to go back and talk to my doctor about it. And then their doctor says, well, we don't do saliva. Well, we don't do stool. Well, we don't. That's not valid. That's not something we do. And they start to plant a seed of doubt about what happens in this more integrative or kind of functional space where we're just taking a larger snapshot to see a bigger picture of what's really going on. And so blood is where the docs start. That's where their allopathic physician starts. So why wouldn't all of us as clinicians consider leveling the playing field, apple for apple, eye for eye, blood for blood, start in the same place? Because now we can have a better conversation. We can onboard them in a way, them meaning our prospect and potential patients, in a way that they're used to with their current healthcare providers. It's a system that's going to help you to educate and engage them in a different way because although we start the same, we're looking at different markers than their allopathic physician. And this is where it gets really interesting. So for a moment, I want you to now put on your visor as if you're looking through the eyes of a patient. You're not the doctor, you're the patient. The person that comes into your practice, why do they come in there? What are they really seeking? What are they seeking you out for? What are they seeking your services that you offer? Why are they coming to you? But often, our biggest challenge in our practice is proving to the patient that we have found the problem. So even though I know and you know that we can help them, we absolutely know it, we take a different approach than their traditional allopathic physician. And so oftentimes, again, they come in, they've got hope, they're curiously skeptical, they want you to be able to help them. But their doc has told them there's nothing that can be done. They're just going to have to take the medication. They're just going to have to accept it. And so they come into you, again, hopeful, but they need proof because they've been told done, or they're just going to have to live with it. Or even worse, that there is no problem, but they know there is, so they're conflicted. Okay, so they come into your practice, and we need to have a way to confidently, clearly be able to simply have a way to speak patient. Okay, so the patient comes into your practice. You want to have a way to clearly and confidently help them to know they're in the right place. And functional blood chemistry becomes the tool to help you do that. So let's take a moment and start at the foundational level. What is it? Why should you use it in practice? Well, simply stated, functional blood chemistry is different than standard blood chemistry. So standard ranges, that's this range over here. You go to Quest, you go to LabCorp, you go to your doc, they do the test, and there's this big range of these numbers. And they tell you if anything's wrong, they'll call you. If something's wrong, that means the number is in bold. It's either outside of this big standard bell curve, either high or low. In standard ranges, that means pathology. So if I'm your allopathic physician, I can't do anything until there's a bold number. Once that bold number arrives, I can now react. And I can react with what is in my arsenal, which means I can give you a prescription, I can give you a referral, I could potentially do some additional testing, or depending on my specialty, possibly do surgery. That's all I got. Not that I don't love you, not that I don't want to help you, but those are my protocols. Okay, so think of standard blood ranges as reactive. It's looking for pathology. Functional blood ranges are measuring function of the systems of the body. We are actually measuring for risk of pathology. So instead of looking in this big bell curve, we're looking at an optimally functional range. So think of it like the sweet spot of the bell curve, okay? we are going to look at a more comprehensive picture because we want to run more blood work than the standard range. We want to see how all of the systems are functioning together. We want to be able to look for patterns, and we want to be able to assess probability of risk. This, by using functional blood chemistry, it's a phenomenal tool to actually offer early warning. And I like to say we test instead of guess. So it helps us to determine as a clinician exactly where the problems are, where we need to start, and it really offers a clear picture for the patient to understand what action's necessary and why they need to take it. So if you're wondering what functional ranges are, again, kind of that sweet spot of the bell curve, here are some of the most commonly referred to ranges. I don't have time to go through these one by one. They are included in your note packet, so please feel free to look at them and reference them as you need to. So functional blood chemistry really does give you that added layer of proof that the patient needs. It allows you, the clinician, the tool to take out the guesswork. It now helps you to understand where you want to start, why you want to start there, how long it's going to take, how severe the problems are going on beneath the surface, or how much better they are than maybe you suspected. So it helps to be a phenomenal clinical tool. So now that you're understanding, we're looking at function, we're looking for measuring risk versus pathology. Now I want you to understand the patterns that you can begin to see. Please remember your evaluation, your clinical examination, your health history, all of your intake, signs and symptoms, lifestyle eval. Those are all going to play a very important piece to putting the puzzle together to understand the whole clinical picture. But when you're just looking at the blood work, again, it can really start to tell you more about what's going on beneath the surface and potential patterns that you may have. So one of the first things it can easily spell out to you is blood sugar dysregulation. Now, blood sugar handling problems are an epidemic, and they underlie many other conditions, including heart disease, hormonal imbalance, mood disorders, adrenal fatigue and stress. Because if we think about what we are eating, especially in the standard American diet, it's a lot of things that come in a box, in a bag, in a drive-through. It's processed food. It's got additives, added sugars, added chemicals, added coloring, and most of it's not super great and nutritionally dense food that we're taking in. We are so stressed out today. Lack of money, lack of time, lack of resources. We're always in a hurry. We're always overwhelmed. We're always overloaded. And so typically when we're doing that, we don't have time to prep and to plan and make healthy, wonderful, fresh, nourishing, nutritious meals. We are doing a lot of quick fixes. And again, there's just poor nutritional value. We're typically reaching for the wrong things. We are in fight or flight. We have a lot of crash and burn, and so it's leading to massive blood sugar dysregulation. And when we think about this, not only are we eating because we're stressed or not eating because we're stressed, and we're eating the wrong foods when we're under stress, food is a stress. Then what's happening around it is a stress, which leads into the next type of pattern that you're going to see, which is the adrenal dysfunction. Now let me just take a moment and tell you what you're seeing here. I've put the markers in. We don't have time, unfortunately, in the webinar to be able to go through each marker, but you'll see that there's notes here so you can reference back and look and be able to put the information together. Adrenal dysfunction is so common. The majority of all people are stressed and report experiencing stress in a constant chronic state of greater than a 5 out of 10. And so adrenal dysregulation is a pretty common thing. And there is a very strong correlation of this adrenal dysfunction with blood sugar handling issues. Again, we're eating the wrong foods, and so it's a major stress to the system. The thing about it is adrenal dysfunction also has very strong clinical correlations to issues with proper liver detoxification. It creates sex hormone imbalancing, ulcers, suppressed immune function, and it really creates the perfect storm for a whole host of GI imbalances. If we just think about chronic stress and we think about cortisol and we think about it being very catabolic, well, that means it's breaking down tissue. And one of the prime tissues it likes to break down is the lining of the GI. And of course, that creates something that we've all heard about called leaky gut. And leaky gut is the perfect storm for autoimmune disease. And so we want to be sure to be able to assess to see if that might be going on. Another key clinical marker is cardiovascular. And so number one leading cause of death has been for greater than 60 years is heart disease, cardiovascular disease. So we're thinking heart attacks, strokes, and now what's in that family of cardiometabolic is, of course, diabetes. And nothing will make a patient wake up faster than realizing they are on a fast track to a heart attack. That scares the bejesus out of people, which is a good thing when you need them to actually get engaged and care about taking a different approach, when you need them to wake up to realize the pill isn't going to fix it. It's going to manage markers, but it's not correcting anything. But the great news is, in the land of cardiometabolic issues, the majority of them are completely reversible and correctable through lifestyle modification. So many things can bring down those inflammatory markers, the cholesterol, can help to improve just conversions and methylation in the body, and so much of that really deals with lifestyle, with nutrients, with stress regulation, and so those are some markers you're going to want to look at as well. Next on our blood chem panels, of course, we can see a tremendous amount of information about the immune system and anemias. We can tell if we're dealing with acute or chronic. We can tell if we're having energy handling issues. The moment we look at anemias, this is in all of our red blood cells. And so what's happening is there's a decrease in red blood cell mass, which results in a decreased ability of the red blood cells to carry oxygen to the tissues of the body. Now think about this for a moment. You and I can go weeks without food or water, but only minutes without oxygen to live and to survive. And so if we have anemia, this is a foundational issue that you really want to make sure you're picking up, because if you miss it, it's going to impact everything else you're doing in your practice. And so now, if you're the best clinician and you're doing phenomenal treatments, but yet they're not seemingly they're not working, did you look beneath the surface? Did you look to see if there were some other physiological patterns showing and issues present that if you could just address those and support those, it would help the overall healing and correction occur much faster. So something to think about. Immune, again, is it acute? Is it chronic? Are we dealing with bacterial, viral, fungal, parasitic? Are we dealing with allergies, IgE? Are we dealing with intolerances, IgG? Are we dealing with food issues? Does this now raise the question that we need to do some additional testing? Are we going to go to KBMO and do some food testing? Are we going to look to potentially do some analysis in the microbiome and go down and determine, do we have parasites? Do we have bacteria? To what extent? Is there candida? What's going on? And those markers will be able to clearly help to tell you about that. Next up, of course, is digestive and nutritional markers. So the beautiful thing, especially about the Dr. Weatherbys functional blood chem software, is he does a whole vitamin and mineral nutritional report, so you can really see, are there nutritional deficiencies? Are we lacking in key vitamins and minerals and nutrients that are essential in helping to heal the body? So I don't know if you've ever experienced this. I definitely have with my patients, where I've had a patient walk in that is seemingly the picture of health. They're eating all the right things. They're doing the right things, organic all the way. Everything's fresh. Everything's local, all that kind of stuff. But yet they're still sick. And when we get into it, we find out that, okay, they're eating the right things, but they're not absorbing the nutrients. So the beautiful thing about functional blood chemistry is you can start to look at these patterns and determine if we do have some absorption issues, if we've got digestive issues. Again, is it more of an inflammatory problem? Are they devoid of key nutrients? And if we don't get those in, the healing is just going to take forever. Next, and this is a super big one I'm a strong advocate of, it lets you take a clear look at what's going on with the liver and gallbladder function to determine what could be happening along those detoxification pathways. Now think about this for just a moment. We are all living in a pretty toxic environment when we take into consideration that there are greater than 84,000 chemicals in our daily environment, with only 11,000 of them actually having been tested and approved. So there are thousands of chemicals out there that we're all being exposed to that we really don't fully understand what they're doing to our system. So that now comes into play when we have liver dysfunction. And most of it is, believe it or not, lifestyle issues, okay? Yes, our bodies are designed to be able to detox. We think of our liver kind of like that water or HVAC filter, right? We've all probably had an experience where we went a little too long without changing it and it was black. Well, we don't have the luxury of changing out our liver. So we have to make sure that while it's designed to be able to properly detox, we have to take into consideration lifestyle and environment and foods and stress and medications, what's happening that could be overloading the system and overloading those pathways that's contributing to breakdown, to dysfunction, to sickness and disease. And oftentimes, if we can just go in there and do even as short as a 7-day detox, which I love the new Medica 7-day, it's in a box, it's super simple to engage a client, a patient, to be compliant with it, and as long, if you're in a, if you're handling more difficult cases, you might be doing longer protocols, 21 to 28 days or longer with detox. But what I'm saying is it's a foundational place to start, because if we can't get those pathways working, we can't get the crud out. Now, I know that's a very technical term, right? But detox is so essential, and it's such a fundamental problem that can be really restricting a lot of other correction throughout the body. So it's a great place to look and start. Okay, next, of course, it can pick up thyroid dysfunction. We all know the thyroid is kind of like the thermostat in our body, which means it's very sensitive to metabolic changes throughout the body, and it's going to respond accordingly. Let me paint the perfect example of the scenario. Thyroid is very misdiagnosed, and here's why. I'm a patient. I think I've got a thyroid problem because I'm having a problem losing weight and I'm really tired. And so I know if I'm tired and I can't lose weight, then what we've all been programmed to think is it's thyroid. So I call my doctor, I want to see if I've got a thyroid problem, so we schedule an appointment. I know they're going to draw blood, and the only time that they could get me in was in the morning, so I got to get in there before work. But now I'm in prime traffic, so I'm sitting in traffic, and it's taking forever, so now I'm going to be late for my doctor's appointment, and I'm totally stressed out, and now I know if I'm late for that doctor's appointment, what if they can't get me in? Oh my gosh, what if I have to wait again? But if they can get me in, then I'm going to be late for my morning meeting, and my boss is going to be ticked off, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay? The point I'm making is they're stressed. Now, that's going to fire up their adrenals, the fight or flight. They're having a very acute sympathetic response, but that is a metabolic change. So there's metabolic hyperactivity in another area of the body, and now the thermostat says, oh, we've got a lot happening over there, so let's cool things down, let's lower things down over here. TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, is that signal. It's the on-off, the up-down, the hot-cold, the more or less. That's what it is. Hormones are simply signals. They're simply messengers. Most docs are looking at just TSH. They might run total T4, okay? But they're definitely not doing a comprehensive panel. So I come in, I'm under all that stress, my doctor runs my blood, and I come back, and sure enough, they say, yep, you're hypothyroid. And they put me on Synthroid, and I'm like, oh, finally I've got an answer. 30 days later, though, I'm on the Synthroid, and I'm still feeling all the exact same things, and I'm feeling even worse now, and now the cycle gets worse and worse. And the doctor's like, well, then they start to play with the medication, they start to increase and up and down the dose. The next thing they'll come on is an antidepressant because it must be in their head, but they're not looking at a more comprehensive picture. And so what I'm saying is, really, was it the adrenals that were primary in that situation? Yeah. It was a functional problem in that moment because your thyroid was actually functioning properly, just responding to the metabolic changes in the body. So it's really important to look at all of the factors, and we look at T4 free and T3 free because those are what's actively being bound and utilized in the body. So we want to see what's being active. And then last but not least, if we have problems at the end organs, we know there's an intimate connection between body and brain and body. And so if we're seeing functional breakdown out here in the end systems, then of course we know that there's a problem in the feedback loop because the brain is the access point for every key system throughout the body. It is that feedback loop, okay? So now we start to understand that interconnectedness and where there's further breakdown and dysregulation. So I want to take a moment, guys, and tell you that I am not the master in functional blood chemistry. My mentor is Dr. Weatherby. I've learned so much from him. And if you want to learn more, if you're interested in what you're learning tonight and you really kind of want to go further into it and get a more extensive clinical understanding, I don't blame you. I did too. And so that's why you'll click this link in your notes for the blood chemistry training with Dr. Weatherby, and it's online, it's very inexpensive, and you can access it pretty readily, and it's a phenomenal training. So if it is something you want to know more about, by all means, I really encourage you to do so because it's a phenomenal component to add to your practice. Now let's say you're ready to take action. Okay, I like that I can see patterns. I like that this tells me more of what's going on. I like that it's a level playing field. This is all making sense to me, but what the heck do I run? Good question. So what I'm showing you right here, this is a very foundational approach. It's going to give you the big picture view of all of the foundational inner workings of the systems in the body. So we're going to look at the comprehensive metabolic panel, the hemoglobin A1C, your complete blood count, your CBC, your lipids, your thyroid panel. You're going to look at your iron, your ferritin. Let me say TSH, you want that T3 free and your T4 free. This is going to help to indicate if there's proper conversion. If there's not, the majority of conversion happens in the liver. Now your brain's thinking about that, okay? GGTP, again, another liver marker, uric acid, B12 and folate, C-reactive protein, it's a foundational inflammatory marker, vitamin D. And I would also add DHEA onto this so that you can really get a good picture. Now, let's say that you're going, okay, great, but how do I actually, where do I send people? How do I get the blood drawn? I don't have a lab in my practice. Very good question. We use Alta Labs. Dr. Weatherby is partnered up with Alta Labs, so that's why I bring them up here. But the way that they work is think about them like a Costco or a Sam's. It's group buying power. So they've gone out and they've negotiated wholesale pricing on our behalf. So we get really low pricing. The panel I just showed you cost me $125. It's very comprehensive. It's very inexpensive. So it keeps costs down. It gets the right information for you and for your patient. If you're interested in finding out more about Alta, you can just click right there and it'll take you over and you can learn about them. Any questions that you may have, you can email John Rohem. He's one of the founders directly. He's very available and accessible, and he'll be happy to help you guys out. But we love them. It's a great system. It makes it easy. If you do have a lab in-house, you can still use them, and they'll send you all of the equipment internally. So if you are a healthcare provider and you need to run your labs, they're a great solution. So now let's say you're like, okay, I know where to send them. I know what I'm looking for. I'm ready. Now how do I I've got the results. Now what? Okay, good question. So you can figure it out manually. Okay, you can look at the results that you're going to get from Quest, and they're going to have the standard range or LabCorp. You can look at the slide I sent you earlier that has all the ranges, and you can go, okay, well, here's the optimal range, and then you can manually write it out. Are they in or are they out? But here's one of the biggest problems that's being made right now is that a lot of doctors do this. They just take the results from LabCorp or Quest and they'll write, you know, the optimal range next to it and kind of put a little mark next to it saying, oh, you're out of optimal range. Well, I want you to think from the patient's perspective for a moment. That has no relevance to them. That's still doctor talk. There's no emotional buy-in. They don't understand, well, what does this mean? My doctor doesn't look at this. I don't know what this is. So now what am I supposed to do? Now I'm even more confused. So it can really send them into confusion and overwhelm, and we don't want to create any doubt in the mind of the patient as it pertains to your ability to truly help them get well. So you could figure it out manually, or you can work smarter versus harder, which I've chosen to do. And many of my clients that I work with have chosen to do, and they use the blood chemistry software. Dr. Weatherby has really made this phenomenal software. It's got over 10 different incredible reports that really gives you, the provider, a great amount of flexibility of how you want to communicate with your patient. Of course, at the most foundational level, we see the functional ranges. We see standard, we see functional. Now, I'm a patient and I see this. I don't talk doctor. I don't know what these words mean. I don't know what these ranges mean, but guess what? I know that red is bad. So now all of a sudden you've got my attention because I'm going, I don't, what's going on, doc? I don't understand. Help me. So they now know there's some reason that they at least need to pay attention, okay? His reporting, like I said, has over 10 different reports. One of the things I really love is that they have over 20 different nutraceutical companies programmed in. Of course, Medica is one of the premier ones. And so when you plug it in, you can plug in Medica and you'll get this phenomenal report that tells you, hey, here are the protocols based on the lab results. Here are the recommended products that should be used, and here's the recommended usage of when and how you should use them. Now, I always tell you, don't forget you're the doctor, okay? So you want to really make sure that it's right with everything else you're seeing from your examination and health history, et cetera, et cetera. But it narrows it down. It narrows it down and helps to give you a more finite direction. And the beautiful thing is, what I love is there's a report called the Functional Index Report that breaks down all of the systems. Now, a patient might come to you thinking they've got a stomach problem. They're like, "Doc, my stomach hurts. I think there's something wrong with my stomach." And if you just go, "All right, well, let's get a stool test. Let's get you started on some probiotics. Let's, maybe we'll consider an elimination diet, but let's do some testing of your microbiome first." And you send them out, and they do that stuff, and you start to give them some supplements, and they're not getting any better. Well, guess what? Of course they're not, because that's not the real problem. This shows you 0 to 100% clinical dysfunction. We've got 100% clinical dysfunction in this case of acid-base index, blood sugar, adrenals, and thyroid. So we know, of course, their stomach's not feeling good because they're so stressed out, they're eating crappy food, they're totally inflamed, okay, and their metabolic function's all whacked out. And so if I don't address this, I'm missing the mark. It's going to take a lot longer. They're going to continue to feel bad, and they're going to think I didn't do my job, and they're going to go out and give me a bad review on Google, and that's going to kill my brand. Okay? We don't want that. Just like the functional index, they also do a functional nutrition report, which gives you vitamins and minerals, and it'll tell you clearly if they are where they are at with clinical deficiencies on over 20 nutrients. And so then it helps you again to tell them exactly why they need the supplements that you want them to take. So you always want to think about two sides. There's what you want and there's what the patient wants. The beautiful thing is that functional blood chemistry can become a very easy tool to use at the beginning of the process to bridge the gap. So you guys can meet each other in the middle of the space, and you can help to manage their expectations and tell them and show them why they need what they need. So the reporting is going to show them why they need your care. Your job is to tell them what they need and then what they can expect as a result of it. And again, like I was just alluding to, functional blood chem allows you to be sure that you don't overpromise and underdeliver, because if you do that, it's killing your brand. Please don't make that mistake. So in the example we just gave, if I was going to just listen to my patient and I'm looking at their symptoms and I'm like, yeah, they definitely seem to have a stomach and a GI issue here, and I just focused in there, versus understanding more of what was really going on beneath the surface and taking a bigger look at that. And if I would have just treated that GI and not really done it effectively and not understood one of the foundational components in the GI was that adrenal stress response and the types of foods that they were eating, I would have missed it. And that would have caused me to overpromise, underdeliver, bad reviews, poor patient compliance. I'm not getting referrals. I'm not getting sales. Okay, not a good thing. Functional blood chem allows you to strategically organize your data. It allows you to think beginning, middle, and end. A patient doesn't want to just go on and on endlessly and keep coming in every 3 months for more tests and more supplements. They want to know that you have found the problem, you have a solution, and there is a path to correction with a beginning, middle, and end. And for you, clinically, you're going to think immediate, short-term, long-term. What needs to happen right now? What needs to happen over the next 30 days? What needs to happen over the next 90 to 120 days? And when am I going to retest? And by that point, where should we be? How much correction do I expect clinically based on my knowledge and my research and what I'm finding? Where should I be at in the process by that point? Make sense? So then it really lets you lay out proper expectations and a path to your patients. So again, here's just, it gives you some really great reporting. It's got the colors, it's got the engagement. It helps you to organize your brain, your beautiful clinical brain, helps you to have a plan and lay it out to the patient. It helps you to understand really and quickly and easily what products do I need to start with. It helps you to have a way to prove to the patient that they need products, that you're not just selling them vitamins. It's not that they can just go down and get them at Walmart or Kroger or Whole Foods, because those are not clinical grade supplements and they can't. They're not going to fix the problem. Okay? So the next thing it can do is, once you see the scope of what's really going on beneath the surface, you see the complexity, you see the severity, now it helps you to understand, are they mild, moderate to severe? Mild, moderate to severe. Is it a 90-day? Is it, is it a 3 months? Is this going to be a 6 month? Is it going to be a 9 to 12 month care plan? But the moment you can see the level of complexity thanks to the functional blood chem, and especially the functional blood chem reporting from Dr. Weatherbys software, now you can better manage those expectations. You can let them know, didn't happen overnight, not going to go away overnight. We got to partner up. Here's the process. Here's the path, but we're going to get you well. You're going to start to feel better quickly, but we're not going to have true resolution and correction for 9 months based on the complexity. and the amount of systems. And as a result, Mrs. Jones, I'm going to need to see you X amount of times. We're going to need to do X amount of treatments. We're going to need to do X amount of additional testing and follow-up because I see this, this, and this. This is suggestive of. Yes, you do have a problem in your microbiome, but I don't know to what extent. Yes, we've got adrenal problems, but I need to know what's going on with your cortisol cycles. I need to know what's going on with your hormones. So again, all I'm trying to explain, gang, is it lets you have a different dialogue. It gives you a better picture. You can make smarter clinical choices. You don't overpromise and underdeliver. You come much closer to hitting it right on the mark and getting excellent results. If you don't have a system, if you don't have a clear path to know what's really going on and how to direct them to get that correction, what they want, you give them too many choices. Well, you can get this. I want you to have this test, and this test. You know, you should have these, but, you know, if you're not ready for those yet and you just want to start here, well, we could do that. You're not going to manage their expectations. If you don't tell them the road to go down, you give them too many choices, it's less likely that they'll go the way you want them to go, which means for you, decreased revenue, decreased patient compliance and clinical results, and more frustration and the faster road to burnout for you. And I don't want that for you, because when you have a system in place, functional blood chemistry, you can use it to do everything from as simple as just sell more single services. Okay, so it can let you sell more, right out of the gate, it'll let you sell more supplements. It'll let you sell more testing because it validates and necessitates the why to the patient, the why behind the buy. It can also show you the why to bundle and to create more comprehensive plans of care. You know, at the Practice Accelerator seminar series, we teach you all about how to really look at this, how to bundle things, how to set up membership models so that you can do this in a very sustainable way for the patient as well as for your practice. So it's pretty cool stuff that you can do, and it all starts with functional blood chem. It can be such an amazing, simple, economical, foundational place to start. Again, apple for apple, blood for blood. You're on the same platform. It really eliminates a lot of the pushback from a patient's mindset, opens up that dialogue. If you want to find out more about the software, in the notes, you can just click these hyperlinks. Everything that's kind of outlined in blue, you can click, and it'll take you right over to functional blood chemistry software. Now remember, there is a process to all of this. To have a really great practice, you know, it's how do you get that ideal patient? You know, how do you actually communicate them to sell what you do, which is health and healing, without really selling it, okay? With just a proper expectations and management and clear, concise communication that moves them forward into the care that's going to get corrective results, that's going to make them happy. They're going to be so happy that you actually help them. They're going to go out and become raving fans. And this is the system, the flow. Now, it's a cycle. Our businesses are living, breathing entities. And if you think of them like the seed that you have to plant and then give right water, right sunlight, right nutrients to for full growth and abundant expression, you know, if you stopped watering, if you stopped with sunlight, if you stopped any one of those, it's not going to grow. It's not going to blossom into something fully healthy and vibrant. Your business is the same way. Now, I've had holes in my bucket. You know, it's hard to juggle it all, and I get it. But I'm here to help you to understand how to streamline the process so that you do have all the right, you know, you've got all the right elements in place so that your seedling is being properly nurtured so that you can abundantly grow. And that's really what we do over at the Practice Accelerator. So it's a one-day seminar, and we've paired up with Medica. They'll be there at it. We're going to be talking more about protocols with their products, which is going to be really exciting for you of how to implement in your practice. But the great thing is this is your one-day hands-on. We do breakout sessions. We're going to help you feel really comfortable with how to get them, how to close them, how to treat them, how to keep them. And you can just click this link right here, guys. It'll take you right to this. This is what the actual website looks like. You'll click on register. You know, you can find out all about it, everything that's going on. And of course, we want to see you there because we're going to teach you essentials about marketing, local and online, everything from websites and SEO and funnels and social media and blogging. What do you need? What don't you need? We're going to clear the confusion so you can better understand the process of what goes on in the psychology of truly attracting ideal qualified patients to your practice. Then we're going to move into the METS sales system, and we're going to go do a practice session, and it's a really simple proven strategy that assesses expectations and then helps you to manage, to meet and manage them so that you have greater sales and results. Then we're going to talk about clinical systems, and we are going to go into more greater depth about this functional blood chemistry software that you saw just today. We're going to do some breakouts. We're going to show you, we're going to do a case study of how you can actually sell more nutraceuticals, the type of verbiage that you would use, the kind of conversation that you would have with a patient, how to sell additional testing and services, all based off of this. And then we're going to even start to pull back the curtain and talk about automation. How can you start to scale your practice in a way that it can make money for you while you're on vacation, while you're at home having dinner with the family? It's all possible. Now, it might seem, you might feel like this even right now. I gave you a lot of information tonight. You might be feeling like this on any given day at your practice because there are so many elements that we as owners, business owners and doctors have to really handle. But the cool thing is, my friend, is that you have a choice and you don't have to go it alone. You know, we are here, Medica's here, Functional Medicine Agency is here, Dr. Weatherbys here. There's so many phenomenal support systems out there that we all are in this together because our goal is to help you. You know, I'm in practice just like you are, and I know what those ups or downs are like, and I want you to succeed because I know how valuable you are and the care that you deliver, and your community needs you. So if you want help, if you want support, if you really want to gain, then we want you to come. And we're going to be in cities across the country. We're starting in West Palm Beach, Florida. We'll be in Asheville, North Carolina, Chicago, Illinois. We'll be opening up dates in Dallas, Texas, and even out in California. And you can sign up right now just by clicking this link. Now listen, when we did this, we forgot it was the holiday weekend. Oh my goodness. So we're actually extending a special gift for you guys all the way through July the 5th. Okay, so when you click this link and you go there, you're going to get a really, really special discount on this. And it's so inexpensive, it's ridiculous. It's like you can't say no. This seminar, usually we go out and we teach it for $495. We paired up with Medica because we really want to bring these resources to you guys. So I then brought the cost down to just $99 because we want to make it as easy as possible. I want to make it so easy for you to just go, yes, I want to be there and I can afford this and I can get out there. But now, as our little holiday gift to you, you can sign up for any of the cities, okay? And this is the only time, I promise you, that we are doing this special. You can go right to the site. The discount's already there. It'll be good until midnight, July the 5th, Eastern Standard Time. So by all means, please don't wait. It's so inexpensive. It's like $64 for doctors and $14 for your staff. Oh my gosh, any team members that you have that are helping in this process, you need to have them there. It's just such a great savings. So go over to fmpracticeaccelerator.com. Go ahead and find out all about it. Select your city, and we'll definitely see you guys there. I cannot wait because we are all here partnered up together because we want to help you, your practice, and the patients that you serve thrive. So listen, gang, I want to tell you it's been an honor tonight. If for some reason you're not able to travel, you're not able to join us in one of the cities, your schedule's full, I get it, but you want the help, then find me over at functionalmedicineagency.com. I always offer a complimentary 30-minute consultation to any clinicians in this integrative space that are just really looking for some clarity. So you can always reach me over there, but of course, there's nothing like coming out to a live event, really rolling up your sleeves, getting in it, getting that one-on-one, that real-time support, and I'd love to see you at the live event. And I'd love to hear from you over at Functional Medicine Agency too. So by all means, my team and I are here. We'd love to help you. Tonight, I'm really hoping this was helpful. Now, I want to tell you we were hoping to have time for questions, but we are past our mark. So if you have questions, just go over to functionalmedicineagency.com and you can contact me there directly with any questions, and I'll always follow up with you to help you out. So I want to just take this moment. And as we conclude tonight, I hope you did find this valuable. I want to thank you. I want to thank you for showing up. I want to thank you for taking the time and really putting in your energy to gaining more insight and tools to optimize your systems so that you truly can help yourself and your practice and your patients that you serve to thrive. I also want to thank Medica for hosting this for us all tonight and giving us this opportunity to come together. So listen, gang, until the next time I get to see you, to meet you, to speak with you personally, or to see you at one of our seminars, I really want to thank you from my heart to yours. Just continue to be the change agent you are, and go stay amazing. Thanks, everyone.